Hello, welcome to Inspiring Women with ADHD. I'm Renee Allen, the host of this podcast. It's early in the morning. I don't usually record in the morning, so we'll see how this goes. This is going to be a shorter episode. I don't even know why I lead with that, because you can already see that by the time you click on the podcast. But for me, it's the beginning. I'm reminding myself. Like I mentioned, it's the morning. I planned to make this podcast earlier. It was actually going to be a different topic, but I didn't do it. Who knows why? And this morning I need to teach a class, and then I'm going on a trip. And so I decided, okay, go on up and make your podcast this morning. But while you do it, paint your toenails. Because when you teach yoga, at least I do enough on my toes that my toenail polish doesn't stay on very well at all. So I either go and get gel nails done at a place that costs money, and maybe for some that's normal and fine, you have it in your budget. I used to, but I don't anymore. So I do it myself, and I found a few kinds, especially this Essie glitter. I mean, it's literally just glitter. It's not sparkly, it's glitter. That stays on pretty well. It's kind of like glue and glitter. It stays on really well. But this last time I painted them, I decided, no, go purple. And they don't have a purple glitter. It's just this purple sparkly, and it doesn't stay on. And since I'm going on a trip and it's to Miami, Taylor Swift weekend, I don't even know what the weather is going to be like there. But if it's hot, I'm going to be showing my toes. So I have a few spots that need some cleanup, and I was touching them up while I was getting ready here with the intro. And I thought, what is wrong with me that I want to multitask? That I think, well, if I'm going to do this, I'm going to do that at the same time. And so I thought, just real briefly, I would talk about multitasking and why we tend to do that when we have ADHD. We're not the only people in the world. And there are those people who, when you tell them, oh, I have ADHD, I do this, and they say, well, a lot of people do that. I would call them the ADHD naysayers. And it's true, a lot of people do that. But with ADHD, there are a lot of symptoms that are common to people, that they may have a few of them. But if you have ADHD, you need to have 5 or more, and it needs to be disruptive in your life. I'm learning this better, that I can just say it without trying to remember. And it needs to be something that affected you in childhood too. Did you know that you can look back and see the connections? And so many women are diagnosed as women, and we're smart enough, and hopefully we have good enough memories that we can look back and remember. But yeah, so to the naysayers, yeah, a lot of people multitask, but when you have ADHD, it's may be seen as a superpower. It may, if you like that word. At first, I didn't like that word. I thought, stop telling me I have a superpower. Like, oh, you have a superpower. Like, feel good about that. And now I'm starting to see, oh, that is a good thing to have a superpower. And really, the way I look at it, I don't really call it a superpower, but more of a gift. It's a gift. It's something that I excel at even more so, even though I struggle with something else. My brain was formed in a way that has the capacity to do this where other people can't do it or don't do it. Like bubbliness, when people say, someone who might be more talkative, have that hyperactive component of ADHD. And I know I say component a lot. I don't know if I've ever read that. And it's technically ADHD, hyperactive, impulsive type. But I always say component. Maybe that's normal. Maybe it's not. Who knows? But back to that talkativeness, some people can't think of what to say readily. They can't just talk about whatever. In fact, my youngest son who has ADHD, asked me when I told him about my podcast, or when he found out about it, Like that matters. That's another thing that we tend to do with ADHD is need to get that detail right, even though it might not matter to other people. But he said, you're doing a podcast twice a week. How do you think of things to talk about? Or how do you have so much to talk about? And I thought that's never been an issue for me to not have something to talk about. But back to the idea of multitasking being a gift, being a superpower, it may be done out of necessity for someone with ADHD because we have so many things on our minds that we need to do. Whether they all stay in our minds at the same time, we might forget it a few minutes later. But that may be one reason that we do it is if I don't paint my toenails right now while I'm thinking about it, tomorrow when I'm putting on my flip-flops or my sandals or something at the beach, I might look down and think, oh, you forgot to do that. So if you do it while it's on your mind, that is one of those little strategies that we come up with before we're diagnosed. If you're somebody who is diagnosed as an adult with ADHD, and so many women are, then maybe that's why you multitask, because you think, well, I need to do this right now, but I also need to do this right now. And if I don't, I'll forget. And so you just try to do them at once. We may not always be successful at that, meaning we might head in that direction and then forget if you have the forgetfulness distracted part of it. So that can happen. But if you have those 2 tasks on your mind or 3 tasks on your mind, often it's 2, then you're able to do those 2 things at a time. And another reason might be that you need to keep your body busy. So maybe you have to do something, and this isn't the case with the podcast. When I'm sitting here, I'm not feeling like I got to do something else or I'm going to want to leave. I don't feel that way. But there are a lot of things like watching TV. Sometimes I can just lay down and watch something and be content doing that. Other times I get out some beads, I get out some string, and I make bracelets. Or eating can be a multitasking thing. You're keeping yourself busy. Not really keeping yourself busy, but it's lowering some bit of anxiety or some need to move by eating popcorn. You're able to do 2 things at once. And there are good things and bad things about multitasking. I always thought multitasking was a positive until I had the internet and I'd see articles or I'd hear podcasts or things, and people would say, it might be too much for your brain to multitask. You're putting too much in there. And I thought, oh, well, it's never been a problem for me, but maybe there are some positives and maybe there are some negatives. And really that's for you to notice and decide as you're doing it. You might find, oh, this is working really well. I'm glad I'm doing this. And other times stop and notice, maybe this multitasking is getting in the way of what I want to accomplish. And the positives obviously are it keeps our energy high. We're getting this done. We're getting that done. At least for me, getting things done really makes me feel good. It adds to my feeling like it's a great day because I got so much done. And I might go to this room and do this for a little bit and go to that room and do that for a little bit. So multitasking can be, if you think of drawing a triangle, I go do this and then I'll go do that. I got the laundry going and then I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. And so you've got all these things going on in your mind. It's like you're this orchestra director, conductor, and you're over there. Okay, flute, you play your bit, and then and you're telling yourself, go do this for a little bit, go do that for a little bit. And that can work really well. Where that can fall apart is forgetting. And that's, if you have that part of ADHD of forgetting as quickly as you go in another room about what you were doing before, then you might see a trail, maybe not a trail because it's not following you, but a day or 2 later, you go into the laundry room and you see that laundry that you put in the washer, it sat there, but it never got put in the dryer. And now you need to wash it again because it smells bad. So because you were doing all those things. But with laundry, it's not like you're going to stay in the laundry room the whole time. Sometimes I do. Sometimes I stand there and clean. If I want to hyper focus or something, I'm going to clean in here while I'm in here. But sometimes going from thing to thing to thing, from task to task, may make it so you work on something for a bit. I've done this where I'm going to clean out this whole area that has all my shopping bags and the jackets and, kind of a mud room. We don't really call it a mud room, but I know some people do. But I'll do that and make a mess while I'm doing it because I'm kind of organizing the things, and then I put them where I want to put them. But then I go to work on something else. Oh yeah, I was doing something in the kitchen, come back. I've made a big mess. I don't have enough time to clean it up. I don't have enough time to finish it. Maybe I should have just focused on that. So that could be a positive if you get a lot done that way. It could be a negative if it leaves messes or a lot of incompleted. I was trying to think, is it uncompleted or incomplete tasks? The last thing is what it can do to your brain. Is it stimulating your brain? Is it making you feel better? Or is it overwhelming you because you're doing too many things at once? And I know sometimes, especially when my kids were younger and I was trying to multitask too much, then that was overwhelming. Because then your kids come and talk to you. It's like, I can't do all this at once, you're trying to do it all. And so knowing those boundaries of what you can do, what you can't do, and even just talking on the phone. I mean, I know we don't talk on the phone as much as we used to, but it used to drive me crazy. And it could have been more of a stimulation thing or trying to focus thing. But I always multitask when I was on the phone talk on the phone, gets something done. It's kind of the precursor to listening to a podcast or an audiobook to get a lot done. I'd talk on the phone to a friend, and that was fabulous. But if someone in my family came and talked to me while I was on the phone, I couldn't focus on each person at the same time. And part of that's just the ability to hear them. And it would kind of drive me crazy because I'm trying to switch the focus, go from one to the other. And if you had a chance in your phone call to say, oh, excuse me for a second, my daughter needs to ask me something, or I need to go, I could do that. But a lot of times I just wave like, I can't hear you. I can't hear you. And I finally learned that I could just use one hand to have a piece of paper, pretend like it was a piece of paper. So the flat hand, like rock, paper, scissors, my paper hand, and then the other hand to pretend like I'm writing. And I just do a little like, just write me a note. And I could read and listen at the same time, but I couldn't listen and listen at the same time. And that was a lifesaver because they could say something to me and I could say, sure, you can go somewhere with your friend or, whatever. Or I could write them a note back while my friend was still talking. So that was my multitasking in mothering while I was on the phone with a friend. So if you are someone who loves to multitask, just evaluate as you go. Is this helping me? Is there a better way to do it? Or should I single task, also known as focus on one thing? And, that's another struggle for us. But sometimes it works, especially when we get into the hyper-focus mode. And sometimes we do that too. But look at your life today, this week, this weekend, if you're listening on the day that this comes out, and see, am I more productive multitasking? Am I more productive just focusing on one thing? And see what works better for you. And if you start to find that you're going from dot to dot to dot to dot and not getting very much done, then maybe you are trying to multitask too much. And sometimes that busyness of running to do one thing and then another thing feels like you're getting a lot done, but you might not be. Sorry if you heard my alarm. That was my alarm telling me I need to leave for my class, and I haven't even put my makeup on, but I can do that really quickly. But thank you so much for listening. This is a shorter episode, not my usual mode. I'm going to Miami this weekend with my daughter, and we have hotels. We don't live that far, and we don't have Taylor Swift tickets, but if we find them last minute, we're going to go. So I'll let you know how that goes. I won't be distraught if we don't find them, but it would be a blast if we're able to get them. So anyway, thanks for being here. Oh, I finally got my ADHD test that's on my website to work. I've run into so many problems with it. And then the submission wasn't working. I tried everything I could. I finally asked for support through the software, and it took them all day up till past midnight last night, but we got it to work, I think. So try it out. Let me know what you think. I'm willing to take feedback because this is my first time, but I had a lot of reasons for doing it the way I did, and I hope it's helpful to people, or at least just fun to take. So thank you so much for being here. Sorry for my throaty coffee in the morning voice, but I'll end with that. Thanks for being here. Bye.
Double chins, rubber ducks, squeaky cheese and paper cups, applesauce, Superman, rocket ships and Peter Pan, boogie boards and parachutes and soda cans, jumping jacks and pillowcases for my hands, Donald Duck and fire trucks and Pokemon, Santa Claus and Johnny Depp and Donkey Kong, chocolate chips and zippers at the 914, little children jumping on the trampoline, model trains and passing lanes and super glue, tangerines and magazines and kangaroo.
Oh yeah. Daily Ron.
Rewind, I've run out of time to sing melodies and harmonies. I'm cut short. The silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me. I buttered my toast, spread on some grape jelly. I don't mean to boast, but I'm a chef and a good one. My grandma can't hear me. The breakfast is done, and I'm getting colder, ever older, so I run. Open windows, broken shadows. Frozen dreams are left for tomorrow. Without a cause, no time for a pause. Rewind, I've run out of time to sing melodies and harmonies. I'm cut short. The silence of sound has yet been found, but not by me.